कभी ऐसा होता है sir between Navy pilots and Air Force pilots, sir? Is there a sense of competition? Who's better?
Air Chief Marshal Naik, PV Naik, when he was chief, and he used to tell his PSOs, he is our man in their crowd.
Which is more difficult? Landing an aircraft or taking off from an airstrip or from an aircraft carrier?
I won't say it is difficult, and I would say it is different. In the case of conventional aircraft, to land and stop. In case of Harrier, you stop and then land. You really have to be awake. Otherwise, you can really go and hit the front of the windshield.
Has it happened to you, sir?
Yeah. When I tried that on the MiG-29, the first landing, I'd actually hit on the head-up display. One of the students who belonged to the US Marines, a major, he got up and he said, "Sir, may I ask a question? I believe that India is making a nuclear powered submarine." He said, "Oh, you are the guy from CIA. Okay, fine." So they started a big laughter in the hall, in that hall.
You can't ask the Navy a question about Aryans.
Oh, they don't know themselves, only the people who are involved.
So, वो कहते हैं देखना मना है, shoot तो करना बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है. People don't, Navy people don't go on Aryan, sir.
Quite right. You require a very special clearance from Naval Headquarters or Commander-in-Chief.
Sir.
That so-and-so will visit for what reason. Musharraf Sahib was told by Americans that, he will get butchered because the Indians are just waiting. Neil, how difficult was it to land the Eagle? Eagle was a craft, the capsule which landed on the moon.
Yes.
How difficult was it to land the Eagle on the moon? He paused for a minute. He said landing on the aircraft carrier by night was more difficult.
Hello friends, I'm Gaurav Arya. Welcome to GAP, the Gaurav Arya podcast. We've been bringing you special guests to talk about so many things. Generally weapons, generally about the forces. And today, I have a very special guest. I have with me Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha. He's a Naval Aviator, has a lot of accomplishments, and today we're going to talk about many things. We're going to talk about fighter aircraft landing on aircraft carriers. We're going to talk about why India needs a nuclear carrier. Hold on and wear your seat belts. Sir, Jai Hind and a very warm welcome, sir.
Jai Hind, and thank you very much for inviting Gaurav. Nice to see you after a long time.
Thank you very much, sir. And it's a privilege, sir. So, whenever we talk about fighter planes, the first thing that comes to mind is the Indian Air Force. Generally, we don't think about the Navy, sir. So, I'd like to know from you, what is this concept of naval aviation? That's number one, sir. Number two, why did you choose, if you were so fond of flying, why not the Air Force? Why a naval aviator, sir?
Well, I'll answer the second question first, because that's slightly easy.
Sir.
In 1965, I was in school, obviously. I think class 8th or 9th. And the war had broken out. And we lived in a place very close to Chicken's Neck, about 40 kilometers south of Bagdogra. My father was a doctor.
Sir.
God bless his soul. And there was no electricity in that village in that year, 65. There was no electricity in many villages anyway. And we were playing football in the evening. Bagdogra and Kalaikunda are not very far if you check the aerial distance. And we were warned that when the siren goes, just lie flat on the ground. Lights out was not required because we didn't have any lights. So we were all on lantern and, on Petromax mein padhai kari humne. So siren went and we all sort of ducked onto the ground in the football field. It was just about sunset time. And we heard this noise of jet engine aircraft, making a lot of noise and flying almost over us. So as a very inquisitive child, put my head up and I saw that a lot of aircraft were chasing each other. And I followed it till I could see. And then I saw that, the streaks of fire coming out of one aircraft. And suddenly we saw one ball of fire, as if something has been destroyed. So I'm very inquisitive, and I told myself, I wish I'd do this one day. Class 8th, okay, 1965.
You saw a dogfight in front of you, sir?
Yeah, whatever it was, because I couldn't figure out anything at that
time.
2
aircraft, one shot together down and exploded.
And I just saw that. And by the time it disappeared, it was a ball of fire. So the most trusted news agency was BBC World Service, Hindi news. So at night, and my father was quite a news freak. He would have 3-4 radios tuned at the same time. God bless, which one was he listening to? I don't know what he figured out, but he did. He knew everything. So वो अंग्रेजों के ज़माने के आदमी थे वो. So I heard that, the sabers had come from, taken off from Dhaka or somewhere, and they had tried to bomb Kalaikunda and Bagdogra, and they were given a suitable chase by the night aircraft, and it is understood that one saber has been shot down. And I heard that news, and it made me feel even more, very confident that of course I have to do this and I can do this.
And you saw it, sir?
I saw it, and I didn't tell this to anybody. Though I told my father that I had seen this in the evening. And that sort of continued, and then my father got posted to Ranchi. And Ranchi, in the school, I found NCC Air Wing. So Hindi mein kehte hain na, andha kya mange do aankh. So I said, this is the one that I have to go. So I became a cadet in the Air Wing NCC. Learned about, principles of flight, aero engine and all that. Passed my examination, A1, A2, there are two school level. Then I went to the college and I joined the Senior Division Air Wing. And when Senior Division Air Wing, I was a cadet warrant officer. They start doing gliding. You do glider flying. So on the Sundays we used to go, because other days you're on the college, and we used to go to Ranchi airport and push this damn glider out, and obviously I was very keen to fly. So much so that in summer vacation, we didn't go home. I was staying in a hostel at that time, college hostel. And, we learned fly, went solo, myself alone. And that is when the advertisement came out for the UPSC exam. So I appeared for the exam and I passed. There was also, because of my Air Wing NCC, sure, I was given a pass in any written exam. So, I had to do a SSB and PABT and all that.
Sure.
So I went for that too. I passed the SSB for basically the UPSC for the Navy, Naval Aviation Cadet.
Sure.
And then medical, etc. As you know, there's all rigmarole. And I got selected, right? My name came as a selection later, much later, merit list, all that. So my commanding officer was Flight Lieutenant Mendonce, serving Flight Lieutenant. Again, God bless his soul, he's no more. He retired as a wing commander. And he said, it's him. He said, I know that you can go to Air Force as well. You have done everything and you have passed the SSB. It's an Air Force SSB because Naval Aviators go there. So I would recommend that you go to fly the Naval Aviation. It's a more challenging. It's an Air Force pilot, hunter pilot telling me. It's more challenging. And I'm sure that I find whatever little bit flying I've done with you, you should be able to crack it. The rest is history.
So, कभी ऐसा होता है sir between Navy pilots and Air Force pilots, sir? Is there a sense of competition? Who's better?
No, not really.
Not really?
No, it's a profession because we get trained by the Air Force. Then we do instructors course with them. We do test pilots course there. And we are all very good friends, colleagues. They are our course mates, if you like.
Sure.
You do flying training with them for a year and a half, 2 years. And then in between, the Navy has a lot of interaction on flying with the Air Force.
Sure.
Our people go on deputation to Air Force. Air Force guys come to the Navy. So it's quite very friendly and very knowledge sort of exchange. So much so, because you're in that profession and if you have done well, the Air Force pilots, even the senior guys, they tend to respect you a lot. In fact, I'll just give you one line, that Air Chief Marshal Naik, PV Naik, when he was chief, he was also chairman, chiefs of staff. And I was CISC at that time,
Sure.
Chief of Integrated Defense Staff. And he used to tell his PSOs, he's our man in their crowd. Okay? So that is a line he used to tell.
Yes, sir.
He's our man in their crowd. So uski baat mano, all the acquisition, etc.
Sir, lot of mutual respect, lot of love, lot of brotherhood. Now again, let me ask you, sir, which is more difficult? Landing an aircraft or taking off from an airstrip or from an aircraft carrier? This is something that I've always been wanting to ask.
Gaurav, I won't say it is difficult, and I would say it is different. Because you require the basic skill of flying, which is coming on landing on a runway. Where it is different, I'll just give you one short example. That on a runway, when you come to land, which you would have seen even in commercial aircraft,
Sure.
that The final approach, the aircraft keeps reducing speed.
Yes, sir.
And it comes to fly at a speed which is just short of stalling.
Sir.
So that doesn't stall. You actually fly the aircraft onto the ground. As you come close, you slow down. And by the time you land, your power is fully back. The throttle is fully back. Or
Which means you reduce power.
You reduce power. It's a reducing power approach. So it's fully back when you land because you want to kill the energy of the aircraft. It's got so much of energy, 100, 200, 300 kilometers. From there, it must slow down to zero. And then it rolls on the runway.
Sure.
And you start applying brakes gently or reverse thrust in the civil aircraft. And gradually you bring it to halt. In the aircraft carrier, it's just the other way around. That when you are coming to land, first you don't know. The landing spot is just 2 or 3 wires. So that precision, whether you will be able to engage the wire with your hook.
That hook, sir.
Or unhook or not, is not known to you. All right? The hook is in the aircraft. It is pointing downwards. And
Yes,
it's
sir.
like that.
Yes, sir.
And when when it is coming to, it is not that it hits the deck and it keeps dragging and then catches the wire. No. It actually comes and hits almost on the wire. Right?
Okay.
Because there's hardly any space. Ships are small.
Yes, sir.
So all the distances have to be made use to engage and kill the energy to zero. But you don't come to know that you have actually engaged till such time you are pulled back by the cable. Now that it is hooked, now the cable is actually pulling you back.
Okay, please allow me to stop you. Let me go back. So this is very interesting. So what you're trying to tell me here is that, like in case of any other aircraft, be it a fighter or be it a commercial aircraft, when you're landing on a runway, you slowly, go into reverse in the sense that you kill the power slowly.
Reducing power.
Reducing power, sir, you come down gently. You're saying here, on an aircraft carrier, the difficulty is not so much in flying. Flying has its own difficulties and challenges. But when you're landing at that point in time, sir, you don't know whether the hook which is attached to the aircraft has actually engaged with the cable which is supposed to pull it back.
Correct.
And therefore,
Okay.
You have to increase your power while landing.
True.
So that if you miss it,
Yeah.
you can take off again. Is that correct, sir?
Absolutely. You got it absolutely right. Till the time you are pulled back, when you get the feeling that you have hit the deck, that is the time you have to go full power, because in next few fraction of seconds, you will be pulled back from 250, 300 kilometers. You have to be brought back to zero speed in that 90 meter length of our the landing part. It's called an angle deck. So angle deck is just about 90 meters. Whereas an aircraft on runway uses 2,000-3,000 feet of runway.
So
Here you have to stop. I mean, you don't do anything. You just have to hook has to engage. But you come to know only when you are being pulled back. And that is almost close to 90 meters. That is why it is 90 meters.
And if the hook doesn't engage, then sir, then you take off again, sir.
Yeah, because that is why the moment you do this, you just bash the throttle, full power, reheat on, so that you get airborne, because hardly nothing is left. You have to get airborne, so you are actually engaging at a flying speed. It's a controlled crash landing.
Wow, sir. Come again, sir.
Controlled crash landing. Landing
You would call it a controlled crash landing, sir?
Yeah, it is. What else can you call it?
On a carrier deck, sir.
Yeah.
So essentially, it comes full power, it slams onto the deck.
Yeah.
And if you can hook it, it's fine.
Yeah.
So what is the kind of G-force that you experience? Because you're going from 300 to zero, sir.
Yeah.
In 90 meters. That's nothing, sir. That's nothing.
What we do is increasing power really not in the real sense, because you still have to land at a particular speed.
Yes, sir.
Because if you land at a higher speed, then you will not, even if you're engaged the wire, you will not be able to stop.
Sir.
Because 90 meters has been calculated at a particular, so margin is very little.
Sir.
And if you are low, then you will stall.
Sir.
So very close to stalling speed. So therefore, the approach itself is a reducing power, but almost a fixed power approach. You hit the landing speed and you are just waiting for the, coming down, waiting for the hook to catch. Now, the moment you get a feeling that you hit the deck, you just go full power. You don't wait till you're back, pulled back. You feel moment you hit the deck, you know that you hit the deck.
Sir.
Seat of the pant.
Absolutely.
So you hit the deck, full power. And now if you have engaged, then she will bring you back and you close the power immediately.
Immediately you switch off power, sir.
No, switch
in
off.
the same
You
idling,
bring it
sir.
to idling.
Idling, sir. Take it.
So That is the difference. Otherwise, and we also had the Sea Harrier, vertical takeoff and landing, which I have flown nearly 1,500 hours. That is also quite similar, except that in the case of conventional aircraft, you land and stop. In case of Harrier, you stop and then land.
Sir, all right, sir. Understood.
I'll just put it in a little easy way. Because again, you're coming at a very high speed. You have a reverse thrust. You start slowing down. And wherever you have to land on the spot on the deck, you
come on top.
You side, on the side.
Yes, sir.
Over the water.
Yes, sir.
You're abreast.
Sir.
If you're abreast.
Like this, sir.
Yeah. Then you make sure that you start
and
shifting.
Like this,
you start shifting.
Yes, sir.
And on the deck.
Yes, sir.
So you should know that now when you are flying at 80 feet or 90 feet hover, you cannot see the spot. You can only see end of the deck. So you have to pick up visually some marking on the superstructure of the ship. So what we had done, we had drawn a white line.
Sure.
So that, you just keep flying, formatting with that. And as you keep coming down, initially you reduce power. But as you come close, you have to open power. Because, when you have a vertical landing aircraft, as you come closer to the deck, the wind flow from the front, actually it washes the column of jet exhaust and the aircraft begins to sink. So you will have a very hard landing.
Sir.
If you want to reduce that hard landing, then you just come up on power. But if you make a mistake, then you will not land.
Just
you will bounce.
You'll bounce, sir.
So it has to be a really hard landing. We call it a firm landing.
Sir.
So as you keep coming down, at some place, you say, okay, fine, I think now I'm going to go into the wind deck set, and it will land. So you will find an Harrier, it always it will appear that it's a heavy landing.
Sir.
But that's the correct landing. It's only two wheels. It's got a nose wheel and it's got a belly wheel.
Yes, sir.
Wheels are only two, and two are outriggers.
Sir.
They are only meant to support the wing. They're not meant for landing.
Sir.
They're very weak.
Sir.
So the theory is by and large same.
But the ATC is guiding you all the time, sir. I'm sure they have an ATC also, sir.
Yeah.
They'll have an ATC?
Yeah, they have FlyCo, flying control. Yeah.
Flying control, sir. Yeah. So the FlyCo is telling you left, right, go there. Wind, humidity, all that.
Yeah. Those things are given.
All those factors you will get, sir.
What
you
happens,
have to get those factors.
Once you're in hover, if they find the hover is steady, they will tell you, let's say my call sign is 21. 21, shift and land. Or he may not tell you anything. Once he has told you clear to land, which means you are clear to land. On your own, because you don't want to get distracted. There are too many parameters to be noted.
Sir.
Firstly, you have to format with the deck. The damn ship is moving.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So
it's not stationary,
it's
sir.
Not stationary.
Moving at 10, 20, whatever knots it's moving, sir. It's moving.
So your aircraft has to keep moving at the same speed if you have to format.
So essentially, sir, you're saying that your landing strip is mobile.
Yeah.
So it's like it's moving like this and you're also trying to move like this.
You're formatting with the ship.
You're formatting with the ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 20, 30 knots. And also you're making sure that you're moving sideways and you're not losing height. Because when you move sideways, the aircraft loses height. You have to add a little bit of power. Because some part of the vertical thrust is now taken by the sideways movement. So you require to, it's a little bit of a trick there.
Achha, sir. Now, sir, we've been speaking about 26 Rafael M's coming into the Indian Navy, sir.
Yeah.
And you have flown the MiG-29K, sir. You were mentioning before we were recording that the MiG-29K was actually not constructed for carrier landings and takeoffs. So it was not a carrier, it is an Air Force thing, sir. What modifications were done so that it could land and take off, and what were the negatives? Because I'm sure, sir, since the airframe and everything is not built for carrier operations, and carrier operations, what I came to know from you, sir, they can be extremely rough, sir. It's not an easy thing for an aircraft and for the human being also, sir.
Yeah.
It's very tough for both. Yeah. And it hits back on the bodies of the aircraft and the pilot also, sir.
Yeah, true.
So what did you do with the MiG-29K, sir, so that it could take off from our aircraft carriers?
MiG-29K, 29 is a very powerful aircraft. The engines are very powerful. In fact, the Air Force MiG-29B, which we had the good fortune of flying 2-3 sorties, you can actually, tail slide has been demonstrated. It means the aircraft can fly vertically till such time it becomes zero speed. and then you allow the aircraft to slide down. The only aircraft which can do tail slide without surging the engine. Normally, engine would have failed. And it was started by an Indian Air Force pilot only, after which the chief test pilot of MiG Bureau, he started doing it. So this is...
Achha, sir.
Yeah, that's true.
So tail slide is the aircraft goes up vertically, sir, 90 degrees.
It goes like that.
And then after some time, sir,
it stops here.
It just stops there, sir.
And then it keeps, when the speed becomes zero,
sir,
he keeps coming down.
And how does it stop, sir? Because, so the weight of the aircraft plus the thrust, they balance it in such a manner.
Yeah, it keeps coming down, but at some stage you have to lower the
stage you have to lower and then it comes down.
Either you do a stall turn or you do something else.
All right, so understood.
Basically you have to. So the modifications that were required to be done was that the undercarriage, the landing gear has to be tough. And therefore the telescopic gear, that has to be tough. The airframe underneath, where it actually going to take the shock, that has to be remade. So that whole area, higher grade of steel have been put, and it has been secured with little more firmness. So that is one. Second thing is because the Indian ships have got a ski jump. So when the thing is running, when the aircraft is running on the deck, so it is going against a small wall, if you like.
Okay, sir.
Because it's a ski jump. It's a ski.
Yes, sir.
So if it is ski, then it means the nose wheel keeps getting compressed more and more by the time she exits the ski.
Sure.
Right? So now the nose wheel also has to be redesigned. Number one. Secondly, the tail hook. You have to have a hydraulic mechanism for the hook to be lowered, and hook and the spring mechanism should be strong enough so that it can take the shock of being pulled back after landing, which we discussed earlier.
But sir, I think then the entire thing will have to be redesigned. I mean, at the bottom, because this is massive pullback. And these are big cables, right, sir?
True. Very big cables.
And that aircraft, I'm sorry I'm using the word abuse, but the aircraft structure is not engineered for such abuse, sir.
Absolutely. No, you're right. That's the right word. It's not used for that kind of abuse,
That kind of hammering that happens, sir. Neither is the pilot, but then pilot is a human being, you can train him.
Pilot can train,
It must be, sir. I'm just asking you, because I've never been on an aircraft carrier and never been on a fighter jet.
Okay.
Not yet, sir.
No, you tell me when you want to go to aircraft carrier, we'll send you now.
Sir, it'll be such a privilege, sir. Okay. I would love to, absolutely, sir.
Let me try it.
Sir, what I wanted to ask was that you're stopping. I'll come back to the MiG-29 case, sir, and the undercarriage and the hook and the cable, sir. I want to understand, you're going, you land, you're full throttle, sir. Suddenly you realize that the cables have engaged. Now you have to reduce power or absolutely make it idling, right, sir? In that entire thing, it would be like slamming into a wall. Is it not, sir?
It is.
It is like going up, motorcycle chala rahe hain, sir, at the speed of 50, 60, 70, 80, and suddenly there is a concrete wall against which you... Because you're coming to stop from 300 kilometers per hour, sir, जिसमें आपने increased thrust लगा रखा है, and then you go slam, bang, cables pull you back within, and it's not even 90 meters, I'm sure it's like 80 and all. You can't stop at the edge, sir. थोड़ा सा पहले रुकना पड़ेगा 10-15. What does it do to your body?
Well, you have to be very fit, I guess. So, the body undergoes a lot of transverse G. Your pullback, so you're working against the gravity, your blood circulation, your mind, all that, and you really have to be awake. Otherwise, you can really go and hit the front of the windshield.
Has it happened to you, sir?
Yeah. When I tried that on the MiG-29, the first landing, I'd actually hit on the head-up display.
That is how they show, sir, in these advertisements and all in cars. Yeah. So you're saying that there is a dummy in the car and the dummy is wearing a seatbelt and this car crashes into a wall and the dummy goes forward.
Yeah, that's right.
And sometimes they say that everything breaks and it goes through the windshield and all that. So we have seen those tests that they show on YouTube.
Absolutely right.
It is sort of that, sir.
Yeah. It is like that.
But it is just 4 or 5 times more because... That's a car, this is an aircraft.
True.
It's a twin-engined fighter jet. Essentially, that is what it is.
That's right. It's a twin.
वो तो आप उसको कैरियर पे उतार रहे हैं, है तो वो फाइटर jet.
Basic fighter jet है. Carrier-borne fighter aircraft है. Carrier-borne fighter.
Coming back to the MiG-29K, you had mentioned that you have to change the undercarriage to those kind of stresses and strains which it was not manufactured for initially. So you did whatever you did. Now, you've also flown the Rafael M, sir. You've flown the Rafale M. So how would you rate that fighter jet?
See, Rafale is a much advanced technology.
Sir.
So the electronics are very high. It's a very proven system of the fly-by-wire control, and much lighter on the controls. And it's got less drag. It's a slightly smaller and thinner in size, if you like. And obviously, it can carry a fair amount of weapon load, about the same. But as I said, it's more modern, it's more agile, and I would say that the pilots will enjoy flying it.
I was actually trying to ask this question and I could not get a good answer, but the Rafale that we have bought for the Air Force, the naval Rafale is more expensive than the Air Force Rafale, sir. Yeah. It has certain advanced modifications also, that means.
True. Also, the when it lands on the deck, what we discussed, the airframe just
Yes,
now, those modifications have to be put.
And that will cost money, sir.
Second thing is the engine. Because you're operating in a marine environment, the corrosion sets in very quickly.
The salt in the air, sir.
That's right. So though it gets corroded, and therefore the engines need to be taken out for servicing more often than what it happens on ground.
Sure.
So what they have done, even in the MiG-29, they've got a modular engine now. They just take out the full engine, put a new one at particular flying hours, which is there by experience, the scientists have. So this is exactly
it's like a battery, sir.
Yeah.
You take out the battery, then you recharge that one, or you service that one and then put this inside and plug it in. And all
That's
that,
right. True.
So, now we have discussed aircraft. So, I'd like to ask you about aircraft carriers. And you know, so about aircraft carriers, so we have this 45,000 ton displacement, sir. And, but China is coming with 85,000 ton displacements. My question is in two parts, sir, and I would request for a detailed answer from you, sir. Do we need an aircraft carrier 85,000 ton displacement? Because the reason why I'm saying this is that worldwide, so whether it's the Indian Army, the Chinese, PLA, or even the Americans, there is no platform that projects global military power like an aircraft carrier. There is nothing even close, sir. There is no tank, there is no fighter aircraft, there is nothing that projects fearsome, awesome power like an aircraft carrier. That is the ultimate weaponry, sir. Short of nuclear, sir. Short of nuclear. My question is, do we need larger aircraft carriers? That is number one. And number two, why aren't we trying to make nuclear aircraft carriers? Because we have the capability. I assume we have the capability, sir.
Well, again, the second question first.
Sir.
We have the capability, there's no doubt. We just have to see at which shipyard, where all this frame can be put. It's a question of what is the size. Technology we have just built, Vikrant. Second one has been, I believe it is on the make.
Sure.
So because the size is bigger, the dry dock has to be, the slipway, etc. have to be much bigger. So I wouldn't know exactly at the moment whether Cochin can do this. But in the Pipavav shipyard, I remember, it is a private shipyard, they started off by doing servicing and repairs of the merchant ships.
Which are massive.
Massive, 80,000, 100,000 tons, tankers on a regular basis.
Sure.
Even before the Navy or the Coast Guard gave them order for, before they started making warships, which they haven't made it so far. But I think the first one is going to roll out now.
Sure.
They're making OPVs for the...
Where is this shipyard?
Pipavav in Gujarat.
Gujarat, sir.
Yeah, Pipavav port. So that is one. So we can make nuclear power. The study has to be done, or it may have been done because it's quite some time since I left. The vibrations that it will create, the location where it is going to be located, or there'll be one or two, depending upon what speed. If it is a bigger aircraft carrier, then obviously you may require 2 reactors. Do we have this power? Yeah, 85 megawatt or 83 megawatt is the Arihant class, and
Arigat and Aryan, they have that.
Yeah, same 83.
And will that be sufficient, sir?
Yeah. I mean, if you put 2 of them, aircraft carrier is a huge ship. You can put, these are the things which have to be studied. Sure. And I'm sure it must have been studied by the Naval Design Bureau.
Sure.
And I think it's high time for India to look at, in fact, I think I was mentioning to you earlier that in 2008, when the Vikrant was on the cards.
Sure.
So there was a file moving in the Naval Headquarters where, I had put my comment that let's go straight into aircraft carrier nuclear propelled.
Sure.
And if one is not enough, 2 we should put, because Arihant was about to be commissioned, launched. So I said, same reactor can be, but I think that may have been the wrong time, because Arihant was still a little bit of a hush-hush affair.
Sure.
It was not commissioned then.
It is still hush-hush, sir.
Yeah.
You can't ask the Navy a question about Arihant.
Oh, they don't know themselves, only the people who are involved in it.
So,
not many people know about it.
I had gone, sir, to an officer. मैंने ऐसे ही बोल दिया, I used to shoot, sir. So I said, sir, I want to shoot. मैं Arihant पे shoot करना चाहता हूँ, sir. I want to shoot on the Arihant. And he says कि साहब के लिए एक और कप चाय लेकर आओ. And that is it, sir.
He must have fallen off his chair.
ये क्या बोल रहा है? इसे साहब के लिए एक और कप चाय लेकर आओ. That's it. And he did not say yes, no. He said चाय पियो. That's it. And I was shocked. I said बाद में मैंने पूछा. I said, sir. He says, forget about Arihant. Forget about Arihant. You can never, ever in your life.
Yeah.
वो कहते हैं देखना मना है, शूट तो करना बहुत बड़ी चीज है. Navy people don't go on Arihant, sir.
Quite right. You require a very special clearance from Naval Headquarters or Commander-in-Chief.
Sir.
That so-and-so will visit for what reason.
It's at the level of the CNC. Also.
Yeah. I mean, Naval Headquarters, they have
Naval Headquarters, sir. They will approve, sir.
The nuclear safety, there's headed by a Vice Admiral, submariner. He gives a specific clearances to what all compartments are to be shown. I mean, I went as a CNC, I could just about, manage to go and see it.
What are you saying, sir? As a CNC?
I'm telling you. I'll tell you what Arihant...
They didn't allow you to go inside all the places?
No, I mean, I knew. So they did.
Achha, you did not yourself,
I did,
because you know the boundaries, sir.
I must tell you that, 1986, I was doing the staff course. The first staff course, which was in the, June to June, May to June. Earlier, it used to be Jan to December.
Sir.
So we had the first full course from June to June. And 86. And all chiefs come to address the course. So Naval Chief was Admiral Taliani. God bless his soul. Great man, pilot. He was asked a question. He gave a free-flowing talk like we are doing. One of the students who belonged to the US Marines, a major, he got up and he said, sir, may I ask a question? I believe that India is making a nuclear-powered submarine. It was totally hush-hush at that time. Nobody knew. Never. India is making, if it is true, then when do you think, it will be out? So the chiefs are always briefed beforehand, who's what. He said, oh, you are the guy from CIA. Okay, fine. So it started a big laughter in the hall, in that hall.
Yes, sir.
Chandragupta.
Sure.
So he said, yes, you're right. We are making a nuclear submarine. We all were shocked as a naval officer. We had not known about this. So this is in 1986. It was already being built. And the Chief of Naval Staff made this statement in Staff College.
And he says, ho jayega ye.
Huh? So, it's a country's project, really. Okay, Navy is making it, but it is country's project.
So, according to certain estimates, China has over 60 submarines, sir. And these are diesel, electric, and various hybrid models. It is also building a massive nuclear submarine fleet. So now, traditionally, the role of the Navy, sir, and after independence, because all the wars were fought on the north, on the east, on the west, sir. Like 47-48, it was fought in Kashmir, sir. 1962, east and north. Generically, say east and north. If you say 1965, then you know, sir, started in Jammu, then the west. 71, east, west, north. 99, Kargil, that was a localized conflict, sir. Kargil war was localized. Even when you have Punjab terrorism and Kashmir terrorism, it's all northwest, northwest, east. Nothing ever happened in the oceans, and for a very long time, sir, the funds that we should have committed to the Navy, we did not commit. That is my understanding for a very long time. What has happened in the past decade plus, that there is this huge... I've gone, sir, I meet a lot of people who are in the government and, sir, senior bureaucrats and other people and all that. There is a great deal of urgency that, Navy full throttle. Why this urgency, sir? What happened that suddenly people are talking about this nuclear submarine, which is the next one? this is the next one, we'll have something, we are calling it S4, uska naam ye hoga, ye capability. And now, every day, only 2 days back, sir, there was an announcement that 1.44 lakh crores, sir, 17.5 or $18 billion worth of projects, the Defense Acquisition Council just cleared, sir. They just said, done. Carry on. Replace all T-72 tanks, T-72 tanks of the Indian Army. That is one, sir. But that is from the Army perspective, or buying of, aircraft for the Air Force and all. I have never seen such focus on the Navy, sir. I've been following this for a very long time, but suddenly there is a huge focus on the Navy. Why has this focus changed so much?
Well, the whole world used to tell us that India is sea blind. This is the phrase which they used to use.
Sir.
And I quite agree that there was a complete blank, because all our threats where territorial integrity is concerned, all our threats were north, east and west. Because we have had invasion of the Mughals, then we had other people coming, Genghis Khan, all kinds of people have come, and now
Temur came, sir. Yes, sir.
And now China is threatening. So, as far as our defenses are concerned, the land will remain a challenge. It's not going to get solved. You know it better. And I think we must have the ability to not allow any expansion of the land borders by our adversaries, namely Pakistan and China. And therefore, the focus was very much, there was nothing happening. But the naval admirals, as far back in 1960s, or maybe even before that, 1950s, they realized, that's a Navy's part. They realized that, the India depends on the trade which is overseas. And time will come when that, these will get targeted when India reaches a particular level of, economic proficiency, economic might. And we are very lucky, maritime-wise, that India is located like a big, triangle inside the Indian Ocean.
Sure.
And there's no other country nearby, no big country. And we realized, our admirals realized that, our threat will remain from Gulf of Aden to the Straits of Malacca. This is where the entire world's trade is going to pass. We will continue to import oil from the Gulf, and therefore this route has to be guarded by the Navy.
So you're saying there was a sensing even in the 60s that Malacca is a choke point. Even in the 60s.
Yeah. And Gulf of Aden.
Obviously, sir.
There's a naval study.
Yes.
This is like you have campaigns. We do this campaign.
Yes, sir.
And therefore we have to have a very strong Navy. Governments were told a number of times that this is the threat which will develop. You have nowhere to go forward as far as land is concerned. You are only protecting. You are defending.
Yes, sir.
Whereas here, you have so much to go. Your trade has to increase, you can have an influence in this entire area, and you rightly said, projection of power.
Yes, sir.
So, if you don't have that visible power and also use it, they started realizing in 1971. In fact, initially they didn't want to put Vikrant in harm's way. But the naval admirals were quite confident. At late Admiral Nanda, he said, no, nothing doing. Admiral Krishnan was the Commander-in-Chief Eastern Command. And they operated the Vikrant with the Seahawk and Elysees embarked. And the type of damage they have done in that area, both by special forces, by attacks, both by Elysee and by Seahawk aircraft.
Sure.
A lot of damage, and they blockaded all these ports. No ship could come in and come out. Therefore, the option of the troops, of Pakistani troops, going away by sea route, because that was the only route left.
Yes.
On land route, the army would have
stopped them.
No, they would have butchered them.
Yeah.
Because army had the full superiority in the air force.
Yes, sir.
So the Navy actually blockaded Chittagong. They damaged beyond repair,
Sure.
which couldn't be used for any ship. In fact, one Pakistani PN ship hired by PN, a merchant ship, was attempting to get in. He had to go back because there's so much of fire in that area. So it actually expedited the surrender because they realized that there is nowhere to go.
Sir.
So if you see, there are a lot of historians have written that the surrender was expedited because of the blockade done by the Navy on the Bangladesh, now Bangladesh, in East Pakistan, which the Pakistani generals have also written in their own memoir that we tried this, it happened, but we had no choice because the Navy had blockaded and destroyed our ports. So then the powers to be realized that attention needs to be paid.
Even during Op Parakram, sir, people generally talk about the Army and the Air Force.
Yeah.
But Navy was fully deployed, sir, during Op Parakram.
Well, Parakram was, I was Fleet Operation Officer, Western Fleet, so you're asking the right guy. Fully deployed, and
Sure.
at night we would close to distances which we shouldn't be closing to and pull out in the morning time.
Sir.
A lot of pressure. In fact, Musharraf Sahib was told by Americans that, you will get butchered because the Indians are just waiting. You do one more foul movement. All the COSC targets were marked. All the missiles were sort of fed. And all along Makran coast, the Indian Navy Western Fleet was deployed all along the Makran coast, including submarines.
Locked and cocked, sir.
Totally. We just had an order to be received. Because what happens, the missiles, the launchers were not submerged like we have now.
Sure.
They were all outside.
Sure.
So what happens is, the connectors are, one is on the top and one is at the bottom.
Sure.
When the sea is rough, it's difficult for somebody to climb and do the top connector. So we had ordered that all top connectors to be connected. So that you only have to...
Permanently, sir.
Yeah. Throughout the, this operation.
Now, almost 1 year, sir.
Yeah.
Almost 1 year.
Yeah. I was there for a year and a half. In Op.
Let me ask you a question, sir, since you were there and at a senior level. And you can choose not to answer it, so that's all right also. Karachi was in your sights?
Karachi was completely blocked. No ship could enter and leave.
You blocked Karachi, sir?
Yeah, it's a known thing that our submarines are always deployed. Every night we used to close. We used to close to territorial waters where we are allowed to go up to 24 miles, 12 miles.
That close?
Yeah.
So you can almost see Karachi from your periscopes?
Of course. You can see binocular, you can see harbor, you can see everything. You don't have to go that close.
You don't have to go that close, but...
some destroyers...
Because in 1971, sir, the Indian Navy had burned Karachi port, sir.
Yeah.
Khatam kar diya tha pura.
Yeah, correct. A lot of missile boats. So, similar thing will not be done.
Sir.
Now we have more assets. We can fire from longer distance. We don't have to close that much.
Standoff is 2, 3, 4, 500 ki jitna bhi features is.
300 किलोमीटर उसके ऊपर तो वो हो जाता है फिर.
Sir.
You are under treaty obligations.
Sir. But till that you can do, sir.
Yeah, BrahMos, 300 kilometers now.
Yes, sir. All right, sir. Sir, let me also ask you, and this will be my last question.
Can I come back to one question that you asked earlier?
Yes, please, sir.
Do we need aircraft carrier?
That was my last question, sir. But if you answer this, then my last question is done.
Yeah, no, is that the question now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As a carrier-borne pilot, the obvious answer is yes. It is required. And why such a big carrier? Because you are a regional sort of big navy. You're the biggest navy in this region, in the Indian Ocean region. And you must have the ability to strike land targets in support of the army. Navy's one big role is to support the land warfare. And I am one of the guys who has believed this all my life. Though, a lot of some people have differed. But I think that, attack from the sea is a big thing to do to support an army operation. If you have to relieve the army from pressure, you create new borders. You create new areas of offensive. And that only aircraft carrier can do.
Right? So suddenly one squadron takes off from the middle of nowhere, sir. It's a floating squadron, sir.
Yeah, it's a floating platform.
Floating platform. It just takes off from somewhere and goes back, sir.
A lot of people say that, they can also be targeted. Yes. Everything is vulnerable in war.
Yes, sir.
I'm not saying that, tell me any soldier, isn't he vulnerable? Do we stop fighting?
Satellites are vulnerable, sir. Everything is vulnerable.
So, we try and remain away from the distance which the enemy missile can come from the shore.
Sir.
Or we prevent the enemy fighter aircraft to come close enough to drop a bomb. That is why we have fighters. Air defense are meant, at sea air defense is given by the fighter aircraft.
But you also have your own AD assets also, sir.
Of course.
You have your own AD assets also, apart from fighters.
Of course. We have surface-to-air missiles which are now 150 kilometers. Barak, new generation.
The Israeli things are there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now we are making in collaboration with them.
So, and these are of course amazing, sir.
Did the first trial, I was fleet operation officer at that time.
How's the Barak, sir? मैंने तो देखा नहीं कभी.
Fantastic.
Sir.
Perfect. Better than what Russian missile that we have. Till then we were all on, though I must say that whatever it was designed for, Russian surface-to-air missiles, like one was Kashmir and one was Still. Both Still and Kashmir are very accurate. We have had a very good result. We used to do practice missile firing,
Sure.
where the surface ships, the missile boats would fire a missile unalerted. It is coming at you. You pick them up on the radar, or raat ko to visually you can pick up because of the plume they have.
Yes, sir.
And it can fly at as low as they can fly. And this would engage 100% times. We haven't had a failure on the Kashmir system.
Sure.
I commanded a destroyer INS Delhi.
Sure.
And we shot down 2 surface-to-surface missiles fired together unalerted from 2 directions. And we engaged both of them.
So, but when the radars are there, sir, how do you find okay, so you're talking about an exercise, sir, in which nobody has told you that we are going to fire at you because this is an exercise, right? And they fire 2 missiles at you, sir. So you're not alerted.
2 from different unalerted. Yeah, it is
unalerted, sir.
Yeah,
and 2 from different directions, sir.
Yeah, they give you a window.
Sir.
Okay, within, let's say, 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, sir.
This is the window in which you will be attacked by 2 missile boats. Which direction, where, and you are in a formation. As a leader of the formation, you are also to adjust the formation in a way that if I miss it, somebody else can engage it.
Excellent, sir.
I'm telling you, I had a very...
You made it sound like chess, sir, actually. It is a chess game.
Yeah. Very exciting. Somebody asked me that, how much did you love your journey of life? I said, if I have a second life, I would like to follow the same path.
We'll end with what you were telling me about Neil Armstrong, sir.
Okay.
We'll end with that. We'll end this podcast with this thing about Neil Armstrong. And my question to sir was that, how difficult it is to land an aircraft on a carrier, which is a moving platform, of course. So I asked sir, and then this is what he said. So please tell us, sir.
I will just... one line what Neil Armstrong said. Sure. Neil Armstrong, when he came after landing on the moon, he came back and the first thing the reporters asked him, the journalist, that Neil, how difficult was it to land the Eagle? Eagle was a craft, the capsule which landed on the moon. Yes. How difficult was it to land the Eagle on moon? He paused for a minute. He said landing on the aircraft carrier by night was more difficult.
Excellent.
He was a Naval Aviator. So
he was a Naval Aviator.
Yeah,
so
I always quote him.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for being on our podcast. It was an absolute privilege and honor. Ladies and gentlemen, with Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, sir, and he has given the entire gamut of carrier operations. And this is something that I've always wanted to ask a senior officer, an expert. Do we need another aircraft carrier? Do we need a larger aircraft carrier? Do we need nuclear aircraft carriers? How difficult it is? Because if you have an aircraft that is going, even a fighter aircraft, landing on a runway is one thing. Landing on something that is going at 10, 15, 20, 25 knots, that's another kettle of fish on a very short runway. You slam into a wall like that. It's terribly difficult, I'm sure. And it was such a wonderful privilege and honor speaking to sir. Sir, thank you once more on behalf of our subscribers and our team. And Jai Hind, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Gaurav, and your team. I'm really humbled to be given this kind of respect.
Sir, no, it's...
Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, sir. Jai Hind, sir.